where we are going to learn about a very important concept for your prelims examination, and that is, what is the structure of voting which takes place in Rajya Sabha? So what is the context of the news? Very recently, the Biju Janata Dal on Saturday actually suspended 6 MLAs who cross-voted in the recently concluded Rajya Sabha polls. This cross-voting, which was done by the 8 members of Biju Janata Dal party, it actually helped the hotelier and the former union minister Dilip Ray to actually win the 4th seat. So some of you might be saying that why these people have only been suspended and not charged under anti-defection law. Anti-defection law, which was actually kind of introduced in the year of 1985 through the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act to actually kind of curtail down the issue of Ayaram Gayaram which was taking place, where the member of parliaments and the member of state legislative assemblies, they used to frequently change parties. So to actually curtail down that issue, this anti-defection law was introduced under the 10th schedule of the Constitution, where it says that, let's say for example, you fought the election on the ticket of a party, and the moment you joined any other party, right, while within the tenure of those 5 years, then it will be considered as defection and you will be disqualified from holding the seat in the parliament or in the state legislature. Now, if the member voluntarily gives up the membership, right, then this particular case does not apply. But keep this in mind that it is not only limited to the formal resignation. So a defection is not only considered that when, okay, I am going to be formally resign, only then I have voluntarily give up my membership. Rather, if you are publicly opposing the party ideology, or if you are abstaining from any kind of direction which has been given by the party, or if you end up voting against the directive which has been given by the whip which has been appointed by the leader of the party in the parliament. So keep one thing in your mind, that does this concept of not adhering to the directive of whip to vote only for a certain person on the lines of party, and if you do not vote, that will be considered as a case of a defection, does the anti-defection law is also applicable to the voting which takes place for the election of Rajya Sabha? So in this context, in Kuldeep Nair versus Union of India 2006, Supreme Court made a very important observation, where it is stated that elections to Rajya Sabha are not the proceedings of House, and rather it is governed by the Representation of People Act of 1951. Thus, the voting in the case of Rajya Sabha will take place in a case of open voting, right? So there will not be a hidden ballot. So if you like to whomever you are voting for, it will be directly be visible to each and every member. And thus in this case, the anti-defection law will not be applicable. So even in the case of election of Rajya Sabha, if I am not voting, let's say for example, to the directive which has been given to me by the party whip, then I cannot be charged under anti-defection law, but yes, obviously I can be suspended, and obviously I will not be appointed as a minister or something. Why these elections in Rajya Sabha are of such importance? So there are certain cases where Rajya Sabha have equal status just like Lok Sabha. Like for example, in the introduction and the passage of any kind of ordinary and constitutional amendment bills, or in the case of amendment or passage of financial bills, in the election as well as in the impeachment of the president, to remove, keep this in mind, Chief Justice of India, judges of Supreme Court, High Court, Chief Election Commissioner. If there has to be an approval which has to be made to be the ordinances which has been passed by the president under Article 123 of the Constitution, then both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha has equal powers. In the approval of the proclamation of all 3 type of emergencies also. However, there are certain cases where the Lok Sabha has actually been given more priority or more, the kind of status, a higher status in comparison to Rajya Sabha. For example, in the context of money bill, obviously, under Article 1110, it can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha has no power to amend or reject a money bill. The maximum it can do, it can see the face of money bill for 14 days and then it will automatically be passed to Lok Sabha and can be considered as passed. Whether a bill is money bill or not, who decide? Speaker of Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha can only discuss the budget but cannot vote on the demand for grants which is voted only by the Lok Sabha. For any resolution of discontinuation of a national emergency, it can be passed only by the Lok Sabha, and your Rajya Sabha can also not pass the no confidence motion. But then there are certain powers which Rajya Sabha has which are considered as special powers. For example, Article 67. So Rajya Sabha alone can initiate the removal of Vice President. Article 249. It authorizes the Parliament to make law on the state list. If there is a bill which has been passed by Rajya Sabha, now a question to you. Such a bill to make, which gives the power to the Parliament to make a law on the state subject, such a bill passed by Rajya Sabha has to be passed by simple majority or special majority. Under Article 312, it can actually authorize the Parliament to create a new All India Services and can approve all type of emergency if Lok Sabha has been dissolved. So this is your entire structure of the Rajya Sabha under the 4th schedule and Article 80 of the Constitution, where 238 representatives of states and UTs are elected indirectly, how it was being done, and 12 are nominated by the President from the field of art, science, literature and social services. These allocation of Rajya Sabha seat actually depend upon the population of the state. Remember, Rajya Sabha is the permanent house, so it never gets dissolved completely. And thus every 2 years, 1/3 of the member retire after completing their respective 6-year terms. Just try to attempt this question on a small discussion of 7 minutes which we have done and see whether your people are actually getting to the right answer or not. Moving to the very interesting election system which takes place in Rajya Sabha. So let's try to understand this. First and foremost, the candidates are fielded by the political parties. They should be proposed by at least 10 members of State Assembly or 10% of the party strength in the house. Okay? Now let's say these members who are now indirectly being elected by the Legislative Assembly as well as the UTs. Itna clear? So there exists two concepts. One, each and every person who is voting has a single but transferable vote. Second, there exists a system of proportional representation. We'll try to understand that. So let's say there is a state and the name of the state is TO. And TO has 100 members in Legislative Assembly. Okay? Very recently the election was conducted, the 100 for 100 seats, and there are 100 members. In the recently concluded elections, there were only two parties who contested. One party which won the majority, it has 70 seats in the legislature, and one party who has got 30 seats. So now if you look at the ratio of the division of the seats of the party A to B is 7:3. Let's divide them by both by 3. So we can actually get the ratio of 2:1. Now when we talk about the proportional representation, try to understand this. The number of the seats which this party has, which is in the proportion of 2:1. This is the exact proportion of seats which they will also win in Rajya Sabha. And that why till the year of 1998, they never used to conduct Rajya Sabha elections at all. They just used to nominate the members and they knew that okay, these many people are going to get elected, right, anyway. And that's why the elections do not used to take place. Okay? But now let's try to understand this system of proportional representation. So let's say the election is taking place for 3 seats in Rajya Sabha. Okay? Let's say if it was 6 seats. So if we go through this proportion, how many members from the party A can get elected? 4. How many members from party B can get elected? 2. In this case, there are 3 seats. Now let's try to understand that how this 2:1 ratio actually works out. So if there, what we'll do, we'll kind of try to apply this formula. So formula is how many numbers of votes has to be polled? There are 100 people. Okay. What is the total number of seats which is available? That is only 3. So 3 plus 1 becomes 4. 100 divided by 4 is 25 plus 1 and that is 26. So each MLA, right, the value of each vote is 26 into 100 or 2600. Now let's say when it takes place for the first candidate. So 26 members from the party A, they basically give their preference, first preference to this candidate. This candidate has won now. ठीक है, यहाँ तक clear है. Then there is a second candidate. Another 26 member basically gave their first preference to this candidate B now. This person has also won. But now they are left. So how many first preference can now come from party A? If you look closely, 26 plus 26 is 52. They have 70 members. So only 18 other first preferences can be given by this party. What is the strength of other party? 30. They will give their 26 first preference to this candidate C, which is their candidate, and this person will win the election. That's all. So this is the system of preferential voting, and thus the ultimate election in Rajya Sabha actually takes place as a proportional representation of the seats which is being held by these parties in legislative assembly and union territory. And the voting is not that one person one vote, rather each person has a transferable vote. So you basically vote on the basis of preferences. So remember this thing, remember this voting method, remember the value of vote, very dear to you for the prelims examination, and we move forward to the next news.